For decades, rumors swirled around the nature of the relationship between screen siren Angie Dickinson and the king of late-night television, Johnny Carson. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, their flirtatious banter legendary, and their personal lives constantly scrutinized. What really happened between these two icons? Was their chemistry merely for the cameras, or did it extend beyond the studio? And why, after all these years, has Angie Dickinson finally decided to address the speculation that has followed them for decades? The answer might challenge everything you thought you knew about one of Hollywood's most whispered-about relationships. Stay with me as we unravel one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries. The truth behind Angie Dickinson and Johnny Carson's relationship that has been the subject of whispers for over half a century. The story involves fame, loneliness, midnight phone calls, and a bond that defied simple categorization. Before we dive into this complex story, it's worth understanding why this particular relationship has captured public imagination for so long. Both Dickinson and Carson represented something special in American entertainment. She, the embodiment of sultry sophistication who broke barriers for women in Hollywood. He, the witty everyman who invited America into their living rooms each night. Together, they represented a fascinating intersection of glamour and relatability that defined an entire era of American entertainment. Their orbits intersected repeatedly across decades, creating moments of television magic that left audiences wondering about what happened when the cameras stopped rolling. In an age before social media, these television appearances became cultural touchstones, moments that millions of Americans experienced simultaneously and discussed the next day. The speculation about their relationship reveals as much about America's fascination with celebrity as it does about Dickinson and Carson, who themselves. Angeline Brown was born in Culm, North Dakota, on the 30th of September 1931, to parents of German descent. Her early years were shaped by small-town America during the Great Depression, where dreams of Hollywood stardom seemed impossibly distant. The second of 4 daughters to Frederica and Leo Brown, young Angie experienced the hardships of rural life during economic struggle, lessons in perseverance that would serve her well in Hollywood's competitive environment. When she was 10 years old, her family relocated to Burbank, California. The film industry suddenly became tangible. The studio lots and sound stages no longer just fantasy, but potential workplaces. As a teenager attending Bellarmine Jefferson High School, she would pass the Warner Brothers and Disney Studios on her way to class. The giant water towers emblazoned with studio logos serving as daily reminders of an industry that seemed both accessible and impossibly exclusive. Young Angie was striking, possessed of a natural beauty and poise that turned heads. But she wasn't just another pretty face. Friends and family noted her quick wit and sharp intelligence, traits that would later serve her well in an industry that often valued women merely for their appearance. Her high school teachers reportedly encouraged her to pursue writing or teaching, sensing the keen mind behind the beautiful facade. Following her father's advice to develop practical skills, she attended Glendale College and then secretarial school, developing typing and stenography abilities that provided steady work while she contemplated her future. This pragmatic approach, having a fallback plan, reflected a grounded perspective rare among aspiring actresses. Her entry into entertainment came almost by accident. In 1953, she entered a beauty contest on a friend's suggestion and won the local title of Miss Rocket Man. The publicity photos caught the attention of a producer who saw something special in the two-year-old with the magnetic smile. This led to a small role on The Jimmy Durante Show, where she got her first taste of television performance. Meanwhile, across the country in Nebraska, young John William Carson was developing his own path to stardom. Born in 1,925 inches, Corning, Iowa, Carson grew up in the Midwest, with a love of performance that manifested early. His childhood in Nebraska during the Depression era was marked by a complicated relationship with his mother Ruth, whose emotional distance Carson would later reference obliquely in rare personal moments on his show. At age 14, he ordered a mail-order magician's kit that would spark a lifelong interest in performance and audience connection. Carson practiced card tricks obsessively, developing the dexterity and timing that would later translate to his masterful handling of interview moments and comedic beats. "Magic taught me everything I needed to know about connecting with an audience," Carson reportedly told a colleague years later. "It's all about making them believe something special is happening, even when it's just skillful misdirection." Carson's early magic shows for family and local events revealed his natural timing and ability to connect with an audience. By his teenage years, he was performing as the Great Carsoni, charging $3 per appearance at local Rotary clubs and community events. But it was his service in the Navy during World War II that gave him his first real performing experience, entertaining fellow troops with comedy routines and developing the quick wit that would later make him famous. After the war, Carson attended the University of Nebraska, studying radio and speech, disciplines that formed the foundation of his broadcasting skills. His first professional entertainment job came at WOW Radio in Omaha, where he created comedy segments between music programs. This led to his first television role at WOW TV, where he hosted a program called The Squirrel's Nest, developing the conversational style that would eventually make him famous. Their early paths couldn't have been more different. She, the accidental beauty queen turned actress. He, the deliberate entertainer working his way through local radio and television. Neither could have imagined how their lives would eventually intertwine, creating one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries. Angie Dickinson's career accelerated quickly after her beauty contest win. Small television roles led to film opportunities, but it was her breakout role in Howard Hawks's Rio Bravo 1959 opposite John Wayne that cemented her status as Hollywood royalty. Critics praised not just her obvious beauty, but her ability to hold her own against established stars. Her portrayal of Feathers, a gambling lady with a heart of gold, showcased both her sensuality and her substantial acting talent. Hawks became an important mentor, reportedly telling her, "Don't take acting lessons. You have an instinct for truthfulness that can't be taught." This guidance reinforced Dickinson's naturalistic approach to performance, which distinguished her from many of her contemporaries. "I was never the most talented," Dickinson reportedly once said, "but I worked harder than most, and I was willing to take risks." This work ethic earned the respect of directors and co-stars alike. Frank Sinatra, with whom she worked in Ocean's 11, 1960, became a friend and advocate, recommending her for roles and including her in his legendary social circle. Those risks paid off. Throughout the 1,960 seconds, Dickinson worked with some of the biggest names in Hollywood: Frank Sinatra, Lee Marvin, and Burt Bacharach, whom she married in 1965. Their daughter, Leah Nicky, was born premature the following year with serious visual impairments, adding personal challenges to Dickinson's professional life that few of her fans understood. Her career reached new heights with her starring role in the groundbreaking police drama Policewoman, 1974 to 1978, making her one of the first women to headline a successful TV drama. As Sergeant Leanne Pepper Anderson, Dickinson broke ground for female actors in television, proving that women could carry action-oriented series. The show's success inspired a generation of women to pursue careers in law enforcement, with police academies reporting significant increases in female applicants during the show's run. Johnny Carson's rise followed a different trajectory. After years of local television work, he landed his first national gig as host of the game show Who Do You Trust? In 1957. His natural charisma and quick improvisational skills caught the attention of NBC executives looking for a replacement for Tonight Show host Jack Paar. During this period, Carson benefited from the mentorship of television pioneer Fred DeCordova, who would later become the executive producer of The Tonight Show. DeCordova reportedly recognized Carson's unique talent for making guests comfortable while maintaining control of an interview, a balance few hosts mastered. In 1962, Carson took over The Tonight Show and transformed late-night television. His opening monologues became a national institution, his interviews a masterclass in conversational art. Unlike many hosts who dominated their guests, Carson had a remarkable ability to make his visitors shine, creating memorable moments that viewers would discuss the next day. The art of hosting isn't about being the smartest or funniest person in the room, Carson reportedly told a young protege. It's about making your guest feel like they're the smartest and funniest. His personal life, meanwhile, was considerably less successful than his professional achievements. Carson married 4 times and struggled with personal relationships. Those who knew him described a fundamental disconnect between the warm, engaged public figure and the intensely private, sometimes emotionally distant man behind the scenes. Johnny could charm millions of viewers every night, one longtime colleague reportedly said. But one-on-one, away from the cameras, he often seemed lost. It was on this stage that Carson and Dickinson's professional paths would cross repeatedly over the years. Dickinson became a frequent and favorite guest, appearing on The Tonight Show dozens of times throughout Carson's 30-year tenure. Their earliest documented on-screen meeting came in 1965, though network records suggest they may have met previously at NBC events. Their first televised interaction immediately captured viewers' attention. Carson, known for his somewhat reserved demeanor with most guests, visibly lit up when Dickinson walked onto the stage. She, equally comfortable in the spotlight, matched his energy and wit with a confidence rare among female guests of that era. But, behind the scenes, something was developing that viewers could only glimpse in fleeting moments of on-screen chemistry. Something that would become the subject of Hollywood gossip for decades to come. And here's where our story takes an unexpected turn. The on-screen chemistry between Angie Dickinson and Johnny Carson was undeniable. When she appeared on The Tonight Show, the atmosphere changed. The normally unflappable Carson seemed to sit up straighter. His eyes sparked with increased interest, and his famous poker face occasionally broke into unguarded smiles. During a particularly memorable 1976 appearance, Dickinson wore a striking red dress that became the immediate subject of Carson's attention. "You look absolutely stunning," he said, momentarily abandoning his usual ironic distance. "I'm having trouble remembering my questions." The audience roared with appreciation, recognizing the rare moment of apparent sincerity from television's master of deflection. For viewers at home, these appearances became must-see television. Carson, famous for his flirtations with beautiful guests, seemed to save a special energy for Dickinson. She, in turn, matched his wit and gave as good as she got, creating a dynamic that crackled with tension. During one famous exchange, Carson asked about her swimming pool, a seemingly innocent topic that quickly turned suggestive. "I've heard you have a beautiful pool," Carson said, the pause perfectly timed to suggest an innuendo. Without missing a beat, Dickinson replied, "I do, and it's always open to the right visitors." The studio audience erupted, while Carson, rarely bested in repartee, needed a moment to regain his composure. But what was really happening between these two Hollywood icons? Here's where the story gets complicated. According to some entertainment insiders from that era, Carson and Dickinson's relationship extended beyond the television studio. Several former NBC employees have reportedly claimed that the pair were involved in an on-again, off-again romance that spanned years. Everyone at the studio knew One former Tonight Show staff member allegedly told a biographer years later, "It was the worst-kept secret at NBC." This hypothesis points to several pieces of circumstantial evidence. Their on-screen body language suggested deep familiarity. Carson often made subtle references to previous conversations that hadn't happened on air, and Dickinson's appearances on the show frequently coincided with periods when both were between relationships. A former makeup artist reportedly recalled that Dickinson received special treatment when visiting The Tonight Show, her own dressing room, specific lighting requests that were always accommodated, and extended time in pre-interview meetings with Carson, privileges not afforded to most guests. Adding fuel to this theory, Carson biographer Henry Bushkin wrote that Johnny kept a photograph of Dickinson in his office for many years, alongside pictures of other close friends and family members. When asked about it by a staff member, Carson reportedly changed the subject. Unusual for a man who typically had a quick deflection, personal questions. Several entertainment columnists from the era noted that Carson and Dickinson were spotted dining together at exclusive restaurants like Chasen's and the Brown Derby, though always with the explanation that these were friendly gatherings, often with others present but not always mentioned in the gossip columns. But there's a competing explanation that many close to both stars have maintained over the years. According to this perspective, Carson and Dickinson shared a deep, platonic friendship based on mutual respect and similar backgrounds. Both came from humble Midwestern origins and found themselves navigating the often treacherous waters of Hollywood stardom. Johnny had many female friends in the industry, according to a former producer who worked closely with Carson. He appreciated women who could match his wit, and Angie was certainly one of them. But that doesn't mean every friendship was romantic. Carson's longtime personal lawyer and confidant reportedly insisted that while Johnny admired Dickinson greatly, their relationship was built on mutual understanding of the unique pressures of fame. They could talk to each other about things most people in their lives couldn't understand, he allegedly told a journalist years later. Supporters of this interpretation point out that both Dickinson and Carson were intensely private people despite their public personas. Both experienced multiple marriages and high-profile relationships over the years. Their occasional public appearances together outside the show were always explained as friendly gatherings, often with other entertainment figures present. During the 1,970 seconds and 1,980 seconds, entertainment reporters frequently asked both about the nature of their relationship. Carson, famous for guarding his private life, typically deflected with humor. When one bold reporter directly asked if he and Dickinson were romantically involved, Carson reportedly quipped, "I'm not sure I could handle Angie. She's way out of my league." The comment, characteristic of his self-deprecating humor, neither confirmed nor denied the speculation. Dickinson similarly declined to comment directly, usually changing the subject with the diplomatic skill of a veteran performer. When pressed in a 1982 interview about her frequent appearances on Carson's show, she reportedly said only, "Johnny and I have always had great television chemistry. The audience enjoys it, and so do we." The statement, while factually accurate, did nothing to clarify the nature of their off-camera relationship. This silence from both parties only intensified public curiosity. Their refusal to deny the rumors led many to assume confirmation, while others respected what they saw as professional discretion from a more reserved era of celebrity. Throughout their careers, both experienced personal turbulence that complicated any potential relationship. Carson's marriages and divorces became tabloid fodder, while Dickinson navigated her own challenging relationships, including her divorce from composer Burt Bacharach in 1980. Additionally, Dickinson's focus on raising her daughter Nikki, who had serious health challenges, limited her availability for any relationship, professional or otherwise. By the late 1,980 seconds, their on-screen appearances together had become less frequent, though no less electric when they occurred. Carson's final decade on The Tonight Show included fewer Dickinson visits, though each one seemed to recapture their earlier chemistry, suggesting that whatever bond they shared remained intact despite the passage of time. Here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. In a rare 2021 interview celebrating her 90th birthday, Angie Dickinson finally addressed the decades of speculation about her relationship with Johnny Carson. Speaking with a journalist from a major entertainment magazine in her Beverly Hills home, surrounded by mementos from her illustrious career, she offered a perspective that surprised many who had followed the rumors for years. "Johnny and I had a special connection, there's no denying that," Dickinson reportedly stated, her voice still carrying the distinctive blend of vulnerability and strength that characterized her performances. But it wasn't what everyone assumed. "We understood each other in a way few people in our lives did." According to Dickinson, their relationship defied simple categorization. In this business, especially back then, genuine friendship between men and women was rare. Everyone assumed romance. The truth is more complicated, and in many ways more meaningful. She revealed that Carson had been a crucial support during some of her darkest moments, particularly following her divorce and during her daughter's struggles with serious health issues. "Johnny was there for me when many others disappeared," she allegedly confided. "He knew what it was like to have a public face and private pain." The interviewer noted that Dickinson became emotional when discussing late-night phone calls with Carson during particularly difficult periods. "He would call at 2 in the morning sometimes, just to check if I was okay," she reportedly said. "Not many people in our circle understood the pressures we faced. Johnny did." Perhaps most surprisingly, Dickinson addressed the notorious chemistry viewers had witnessed over the years. "Of course we flirted. It made good television," she reportedly said with characteristic frankness. "Johnny flirted with everyone. It was part of his charm. But what we had off camera was a friendship based on trust and understanding." When pressed about whether their relationship had ever crossed into romance, Dickinson paused before responding. "There was a mutual attraction, naturally. We both acknowledged that. But we valued our friendship too much to complicate it. Sometimes the most intimate relationship you can have with someone isn't physical. It's knowing they truly see you for who you are." She reportedly revealed that Carson had once told her that she was one of the few people who knew the real Johnny, not just the polished television persona. He said, "Most people couldn't separate the man from the host, but I knew both versions and cared about the man behind the desk more than the one behind the microphone." This revelation sent ripples through Hollywood circles. Some former colleagues expressed vindication, claiming they'd always known the relationship was platonic but more meaningful than casual friendship. Others remained skeptical, suggesting Dickinson might be protecting both their legacies. Carson, who passed away in 2005, had maintained his silence on the matter until the end. His son, however, reportedly reached out to Dickinson after her interview, thanking her for setting the record straight and confirming that his father had always spoken of her with enormous respect and affection. "Dad didn't have many true friends in the industry," Carson's son allegedly wrote to Dickinson, "but he always counted you among them. Thank you for honoring that friendship by sharing the truth." What made this revelation particularly impactful was its timing. After decades of speculation, Dickinson had chosen her 9th decade to address the rumors, when both had completed their public careers and when Carson was no longer alive to contradict or confirm her version of events. When asked why she decided to speak now, Dickinson reportedly smiled and said simply, "At my age, you start to think about the stories that should be told truthfully before they're lost forever. Johnny and I deserved better than tabloid speculation. What we had was rare in Hollywood, genuine understanding without expectation." Dickinson's revelations about her relationship with Carson prompted a reassessment of how we view male-female relationships in entertainment. Several prominent entertainment historians noted that the assumption of romance between attractive co-stars or colleagues reflects more about our cultural biases than about the individuals involved. We've always struggled to accept that men and women can have profound, meaningful connections that aren't romantic or sexual, noted one television historian in response to Dickinson's interview. Their relationship forces us to expand our understanding of intimacy beyond the conventional categories. The interview sparked a broader conversation in entertainment media about the nature of on-screen chemistry and how it relates to off-camera relationships. Several talk show hosts acknowledged the performative aspects of their guest interactions, noting that what appears as flirtation or attraction is often carefully crafted entertainment rather than genuine emotional connection. For younger generations discovering Carson's work through archives and streaming platforms, Dickinson's clarification provided important context for understanding the complex dynamics at play in those famous interviews. Film schools and media studies programs began using their interactions as case studies in the performance aspects of talk show appearances versus genuine connection. What's fascinating about the Carson-Dickinson dynamic is how they played with the audience's expectations, observed one media studies professor. They were both in on the joke, both performing roles while simultaneously maintaining a genuine connection that remained private. That's a masterclass in celebrity management. Several of Dickinson's contemporaries came forward after her interview to share similar stories of friendships with male colleagues that had been mischaracterized by the press and public. "Angie gave us permission to reclaim our own narratives," said one actress who had worked during the same era. "For decades, we let others define our relationships. It's liberating to see someone of her stature set the record straight." Entertainment journalists began re-examining other famous will they, won't they celebrity pairings, questioning whether similar misreadings had occurred throughout Hollywood history. Several documentarians approached Dickinson for expanded interviews about her friendship with Carson, seeing it as emblematic of a more complex understanding of intimacy in the entertainment industry. Carson's legacy remained largely unchanged by these revelations, still revered as the king of late night and a master interviewer. If anything, Dickinson's comments added another dimension to understanding his character, his capacity for meaningful friendship and loyalty beyond the charming but sometimes superficial persona he presented on television. Johnny was famously difficult to know. One former NBC executive commented after Dickinson's interview, "The fact that he maintained this deep friendship with Angie for decades says something profound about both of them. These were two people who understood the difference between public performance and private reality better than most." For Dickinson herself, addressing the rumors seemed to provide a sense of closure. In subsequent appearances, she spoke more freely about Carson, sharing anecdotes that revealed the depth of their connection without the cloud of speculation that had previously surrounded any mention of him. "He called me after every major audition," she revealed in a follow-up interview. "No matter how busy he was, he'd find time to check how it went. That's the kind of friend he was, attentive to the moments that mattered." Perhaps most significantly, their story prompted a broader cultural conversation about friendship, particularly between men and women in positions of power and influence. In an era of re-examining gender dynamics in entertainment, their relationship offered a nuanced counterpoint to more troubling narratives. As one cultural commentator observed, what Dickinson and Carson apparently achieved was something rare even today, a relationship between entertainment industry, power players based on mutual respect rather than exploitation. That deserves not just acknowledgement, but celebration. Today, at 93, Angie Dickinson remains one of the last living icons from Hollywood's golden era. Though she has largely retreated from public life, she occasionally grants interviews where she reflects on her remarkable career and the extraordinary people she's known. Her Beverly Hills home reportedly contains a small collection of mementos from her appearances on The Tonight Show, including a handwritten note from Carson congratulating her on her Emmy nomination for Policewoman. Her legacy extends far beyond her relationship with Carson. As one of the first women to headline a successful police drama and a performer who maintained a career across 6 decades, Dickinson broke barriers and redefined what was possible for women in entertainment. Young actresses still study her performances, noting her ability to project strength and vulnerability simultaneously, a balance few performers master. "I never thought of myself as a pioneer," she reportedly told a film student who interviewed her recently. "I just took the roles that interested me and tried to bring truth to them. If that opened doors for others, I'm honored." Carson's influence on American culture remains equally profound nearly 2 decades after his death. His 30-year run on The Tonight Show shaped the template for talk shows that continues to this day, while his interviewing style, respectful but incisive, playful but never cruel, stands as a model rarely equaled by his successors. "Every night, somewhere in America, someone is trying to be Johnny Carson," observed one current late-night host. "None of us quite manage it, but we're all working in his shadow." The footage of their many interviews has been preserved and digitized, allowing new generations to witness their special chemistry. What viewers now see, informed by Dickinson's revelations, is not just flirtation, but the comfortable rapport of 2 people who truly understood one another. Television historians have noted that their interactions reveal a level of trust rare in talk show appearances, moments of genuine conversation amid the entertainment performance. In recent years, several documentaries and retrospectives about Carson have included segments on his friendship with Dickinson, now framed with the nuance her comments provided. Their relationship has become an example of how men and women in the entertainment industry could support each other's careers while maintaining personal boundaries. Streaming platforms featuring classic television now often highlight the Dickinson-Carson interviews in special collections, noting their historical significance both as entertainment and as examples of changing gender dynamics in television. Several of these appearances have gone viral on social media, introducing their chemistry to younger viewers who never experienced the original broadcasts. Dickinson has established a foundation supporting young women entering the entertainment industry, with a focus on creating mentorship networks that help navigate the complex personal and professional challenges of Hollywood. The foundation's philosophy, according to its mission statement, emphasizes connections based on mutual respect and professional development. When asked about her friendship with Carson in her most recent public appearance, Dickinson reportedly smiled and said simply, "Some connections transcend easy definition. Johnny and I understood each other. In this business, that's rarer and more valuable than romance." The daughter of Carson's 3rd wife recently revealed that among her father's personal effects was a framed photograph of Dickinson that had sat on his desk during his final years. On the back, reportedly written in Carson's hand, was a simple note, "A true friend in a town of acquaintances." Perhaps that, more than any speculation or revelation, captures the essence of what these 2 icons shared. The story of Angie Dickinson and Johnny Carson reminds us that human relationships rarely fit into the neat categories we try to assign them. What audiences saw as flirtation may have been something far more meaningful, a friendship that provided stability and understanding in an industry known for its superficiality. Their connection challenges our tendency to simplify and sensationalize the bonds between public figures. In revealing the truth about their relationship, Dickinson didn't diminish its significance, but rather elevated it to something perhaps more rare in Hollywood than a passionate affair, a genuine, enduring friendship between 2 people who saw past each other's carefully constructed public images. Perhaps the most surprising revelation isn't what did or didn't happen between these 2 legends, but rather how their connection defied expectation and categorization. In an industry built on illusion, they may have shared something surprisingly genuine. As we look back on the golden age of Hollywood and television, perhaps it's worth reconsidering other famous pairings through this more nuanced lens. Behind the glamour and gossip, how many other meaningful connections have we misunderstood or oversimplified? If you've enjoyed this exploration of one of Hollywood's most enduring relationships, please consider subscribing for more deep dives into the complex stories behind the entertainment industry's most fascinating figures. And let us know in the comments, what other Hollywood relationships deserve a more nuanced re-examination?